let's get into our first panel session of the day. It's a really important topic, why well-being matters, and how can you make it a priority? Effective well-being initiatives can significantly impact both individuals and organizations, but how can we ensure these initiatives create a truly supportive environment? How do health incentives contribute to this, and what role should leaders play in implementing these programs? How can leaders manage expectations and constant pressure whilst addressing real issues such as anxiety, burnout, and tech stress? Why is prioritizing mental well-being so crucial, and how does it affect overall organizational health? How can you amplify individuals' engagement and performance through a strong well-being program? Well, let's talk about that. I want you to please welcome our panelists. We have Ziad Kamel, Director, Rosie Hospitality Group Holding, Elias Madbak, CEO of RMAL Hospitality, Diego Sorete, founder and CEO of Fit Life, and your moderator for this session will be Ravi Chandran, hospitality expert. Please welcome our panelists to the stage.
So welcome to the first panel. Good morning. So what happens is we all work very hard for the health and wellness of our businesses. But do we do it for our own selves? I don't know. The bottom line of any business is profits. But the bottom line for ourselves is happiness. And happiness comes from being well. And hence, we have the topic, why well-being matters. And how to make it a priority. And that is why we have today 3 of our speakers today on stage, and I would like to introduce you to them. Diego Carrete is a wellness guru. He is the founder and CEO of Fit Life, and he is also the Chief Wellness Officer of Fab Bank, UAE's largest bank. And he also has the Lean Executive app, newsletter, and you can see him on LinkedIn, and I'm one of those followers, and I've seen results for myself. Next we have, you already know him, Elias Madbak. He is the CEO of Rimal Hospitality. You know, many of the popular brands, he runs 5 brands, and popular among them are Trader Vicks, Wagamama, he got Oki now, and a few others. And our last speaker there is Ziad Kamel. He is the director of Rosie Hospitality Group Holding. And once again, he runs the famous Coquelet restaurants, the well-known French brasserie. Please welcome our speakers. I would like to start with Ziad. Ziad, are you into health and fitness? I know that you're a marathon runner, I'm sure. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here on the first session. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Yes, I am very much into health and fitness. I have run a marathon. I have done many Spartan races, many other trail runs and 10Ks and obstacle course races. I have a weekly schedule of playing tennis and paddle and going to the gym. So yes, I would say this is very important for me.
What made you or triggered you to bring well-being into your workplace?
I think, like you were saying, I guess healthy P&L starts with a healthy mind, right? So they are linked together. A healthy work culture requires the well-being of everyone involved, top down and bottoms up. Same thing with the P&L. So they go hand in hand. And it just makes it a much better place to work when everyone's well-being is the top priority.
Elias, are you also into health and fitness?
Well, I don't run marathons, I can tell you that. My journey with fitness started about 6 years ago. I was at my son's sports day at school, and I did not perform well. Even though he's an avid athlete, he was not able to win any of his competitions. That was kind of a wake-up call for me to start focusing on my own fitness. So I educated myself on nutrition, longevity, fitness, and it's impacted positively every aspect of my life. You know, there's a saying in Arabic that goes, al-aql salim fil jism salim, and that translates into a healthy mind requires a healthy body, and I try to live by that every day.
And how did you bring it into your workplace?
You know, you're linking well-being in the workplace with health and fitness. To me, it's a bit broader. So I think well-being is not only about health and fitness, it transcends that. It also includes mental well-being. Well-being means different things to different people. So some individuals might value more family time as part of their well-being, while others might consider financial stability and having peace of mind that their loved ones are taken care of contributes to their well-being. So it's our job as leaders to listen to our teams and implement programs that cover a broad aspect of well-being, not just physical fitness, but also a 360 approach to well-being.
Okay, great. Diego, I'm not going to ask you, are you into health and fitness? You have been 6 times on the cover page of Men's Fitness and Men's Health. That's awesome. This is your job. So for me, the question is going to be about the well-being strategy. How do organizations, how they can create a well-being strategy, not just looking at the employee needs, but also for the long-term wellness, and how can leaders play a role in shaping the future of well-being at work?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Nice to meet you, and thank you for having me. That's a very interesting question, and I will start by saying that wellness and well-being in an organization has to come from the top, right? It's something that leaders have to embrace and leaders have to advocate. Beyond that, I'll tell you something that I've seen in the region and in the market that I think a lot of people will be able to relate to, and is what I call the firework syndrome. The firework syndrome happens when an organization throws a little event about yoga, stretching, they do a little run, and they expect miracles to happen in the sense of they expect that just with that, the organization is going to grow into wellness and is going to be accepted and executed by everyone. Now, wellness is a core responsibility. It's the responsibility of the employee and it's the responsibility of the employer. And it's this interconnectivity between both that is going to enable it to thrive. How do we do that? We need to understand as organizations where we are, where do we want to be, and we need to create a strategy so we can bridge that gap. Now, that gap is not going to take 6 months to fill. It's not going to take a year. It's probably a 3 to 5 year plan, right? And that's something that companies need to understand. When we are here, we need to be serious about it, and we cannot be curious. We need to be committed. There's the difference between curiosity and commitment. You cannot be curious about wellness. You need to commit. And that's what how I would summarize your question. Know where you are, know where you want to be, and use data to drive the decisions that are going to fill that gap. There need to be data-driven decisions.
Thank you. Ziad, what are some of the initiatives, well-being initiatives that you have taken in your organization?
I think one of the most impactful decision that we have taken in the hospitality industry is known for 6-day work weeks. So last year we took the decision to shift from a 6-day work week to a 5-day work week for every single person in the operations and in the office. And we made it a point that the schedules must enable everyone to take the 2 days off consecutively. And I think this had a very big impact on the well-being of everyone on the team, because as you can imagine, for many years, most of them have been used to working 6-day weeks and having just 1 day off. That also opened up a lot of time for what the gentlemen were saying, more time with family, more time with friends, more time to actually maybe exercise, go out for a run, go play some sports. And that was one of the most impactful things that we did.
What was the outcome from having this 5-day work week?
So initially, if you look at it just through a spreadsheet and a financial calculation, then the decision to do that would probably be no. Because you can't really, it's just increasing payroll, right? Because we needed to hire additional people to cover for that day off. However, we were thinking for the long run, and we believed, and we're vindicated now because it worked, that a more relaxed person at work who has enough time to rest works more efficiently, works more happily, is more pleasant to be around with colleagues and customers. And another impact was employee attrition was significantly reduced. We became a place that also attracted better talent when we were looking to recruit, putting out a job ad with a 5-day work week in our industry attracted more and higher quality people. In the end, that resulted in a net improvement in company culture, company happiness, and I'm happy to say our top line and bottom line continue to grow. So the short-term impact of the extra cost was outweighed by the medium and long-term gain. So even our bottom line experienced the well-being.
Thank you. Elias, I know you also have a 5-day work week, which is amazing, which is unheard of, very uncommon in the hospitality industry. And talk us about not only that, other initiatives that you have for well-being in your organization.
Thank you. Yeah, we implemented our 5-day work week on April 1st of this year. Additional to that, we have monthly group outings. So we've done some beach cleanups where the team meets at 6 a.m. at one of the beaches, get some exercise in, and give back to the community. We've done some yoga classes, even a pottery class, which was quite interesting. Quarterly, we invite speakers to come in and speak to the team. The last speaker spoke to us about emotional intelligence, which was very insightful. We've added some recreational equipment into our staff accommodation for our teams to enjoy. We've also redesigned our office to include some breakout spaces, a cafeteria, some bean bags, even a PlayStation. We've also introduced flexible working hours for the office staff, so they can come in at 7 to 4, 8 to 5, or 9 to 6, avoiding being stuck in traffic for 2 hours, definitely adding to your well-being. And then, of course, the 5-day work week had a huge impact.
Yeah, excellent. Now, it is really tough to go and get an approval from the board or the owners or the investors for a 5-day work week. It's not easy. You need to recruit extra staff to fill the gap. I mean, your staff cost is going to go high, your bottom line is going to go down less. How did you manage this?
Lobbying, a lot of lobbying. So this initiative started 2 years ago, and we were only able to implement it this year. A lot of you might not know, but Rimal Hospitality is a subsidiary of Al Fahim Group, which is one of the largest and oldest Emirati family businesses based out of Abu Dhabi. And they're known for giving back to the community. So when I approached our chairman about this initiative, he was extremely enthusiastic about it. His Excellency, Mr. Muhammad Abdul Jalil Fahim, was supportive. He's known to be a kind and pioneer, leading by example type of gentleman. Mm-hmm. So his support was key in getting this done, and for that I'm very grateful. I'm sure you're going to ask me about ROI. So we didn't do this for an ROI. I'd like to recite our mission statement. So we are an inclusive team committed to enthusiasm, service, and always doing the right thing while making a responsible profit. So we did this because it was the right thing to do, not for an ROI. Having said that, I do anticipate an ROI, and as we have more data, I plan to make this public in hopes to inspire others to follow suit.
Sure.
I think it'll be good for our industry.
Excellent. Diego, coming to you. Can you share some of those transformative well-being changes that have driven organizations, like the...
Yeah, I will share the concept behind initiatives and what I believe is effective or most effective, and I will give an accurate example of something that is working very well, right? So in order for an employee or wellness initiative to be effective, I believe it needs to be led by the people. You need to make people autonomous. You need to make them self-sufficient. And that's how we are going to be able to drive change, right? So you need to build this into the culture of the organization. And coming to an example to basically reflect this idea is an initiative that we have launched at FAB with posture ambassadors. So I brought one good friend and mentor of mine, Olivier Girard, from Geneva. He's one of the world's best ergonomists and posture experts. He came to Dubai. I flew him over to basically teach ambassadors, right? So we got 30, 40 candidates into a room, and they became posture ambassadors. So they became equipped to basically analyze workspaces and improve workstations of other members. And you will not believe the huge impact that this is having, because you have your workforce, your colleagues, as advocates of an initiative that was once triggered by the leadership. And this is how you start building the culture, because they start helping each other. And people want to help. Humans, we want to feel valued. We want to add value. We want to grow an impact. They're helping each other. We have our different groups, and we see the before and afters of the workstations. And this is something that has been very impactful. We have many more initiatives. I have personally focused on building wellness hubs in the different locations. We have built our own wellness brand, newme.ae. We have done amazing things. I've been for 2 years in the role, and you can see how the culture is effectively shifting. I know you would want me to give you some ROI figures, but here's the thing. This is not something that I can give you yet, not because it's not working, because you need at least 3 to 4 years to get tangible data. In many workshops or events that I attend, people like to throw out figures. Oh, we have improved productivity by X%. This is a case study on how we have reduced absenteeism and how we have reduced insurance cost. And then I asked this gentleman the other day about this. I said, how long was the study? He said, 3 months. And I said, how is that possible if insurances take 1 year to give you the data from the previous year, and you obviously need to build a trend line? So, long story short, TLDR, you need time to prove that wellness works, and you need data. And data doesn't come overnight. It doesn't take you 2 years to get into the current situation. Don't expect 1 or 2 months to get you out of, a more wellness-driven culture. But we're getting there.
Great. Now, how can we measure the impact of these well-being programs? Is there any kind of a tool or metrics that can be used to track and monitor the employee emotional and physical well-being?
Well, I know a lot of companies and SMEs, startups use technology. I just wondered, why are we tracking certain HRV or different metrics if your employees are not being able to go to bed on time because they have their line managers emailing them at 10 p.m., right? I think it's important to build a solid foundation and start from the sort of path of least resistance. Grab that low-hanging fruit. In this case, I can give you 3, 4 examples of data that you can use to track employee well-being. You have subjective data and you have objective data. Subjective data, internal surveys, engagement surveys, you can see the improvements over time if you're looking into more tangible objective data, you look at insurance, you look at attrition, you look at retention, and ultimately a longer-term approach would be to measure productivity in terms of your bottom line ROI. But it's very hard to sort of put wellness as the main driver for a certain outcome. So it's always going to be a shared success across different initiatives.
Okay, great. I want to touch upon a very important topic, that is nutrition, and it's about employee meals. Some organizations provide employee meals. Some of them give vouchers, some of them give an allowance, and some of them give nothing. And you quite often see employees in food court buying a meal at a burger place or something that is worth 10 or 15 or 20 dirhams, or they order through delivery. We don't know whether it's healthy or unhealthy. I want to ask Ziad and Elias, what are you doing for your employees?
Employee meals is very important for our team. It always comes up in the subjective surveys and casual talks. It is directly linked to staff happiness. I mean, who doesn't enjoy a good meal? So what we did was we asked the chefs to create a daily meal for the entire team using the ingredients and the supply chain already available in the restaurant. And as you know, we're a French brasserie. We use noble products and noble ingredients. And so we don't differentiate between the ingredients used for our customers and the ingredients used for our employees. And what we did is we gave the team the power and the autonomy to create the daily staff meal and create a little committee between the front of house and the back of house to ensure that the staff meals and the type of meals prepared represent all the different cultures that work in our restaurant. And we felt that this was a very, very good approach. The staff meal is so good that sometimes when I'm there and it's served and I look at it and I was like, wow, I need to grab a piece of that because it's almost like all outside menu, R&D, the chefs can be creative, the front of house can enjoy. So that has really had a positive impact. We started that from the get-go, and I think that's how we're going to continue scaling up as we open branch after branch.
Elias, how about at Rimal?
We do it a little bit differently. So we noticed that most of our employees wanted choice. Instead of having one meal for everyone, we created select items from our existing menus that's created by our executive chef, and the staff can just order whatever they want from that select menu. These meals are cooked fresh to order, just like any other guest, and they're refreshed once a quarter. So in some of our locations where we have multiple brands, the employees have a wider menu, 2 menus to choose from, and it's been quite successful.
Right. I want to ask Diego, now, how can we ensure employees have a high-quality, nutrients-dense food? And how can leaders take some steps, what are the actionable steps to have those high-quality food?
Good question. So in our strategy, there is 2 components. There is the behavioral component and there is the environmental component. And this builds congruence, essentially. You cannot tell your employees to eat healthy and then do not give them the means or the availability of resources to do that, right? So on the environmental side of things, the foods need to be available in a high degree of bioavailability, which means they need to be food rich in nutrients. And you need to have great variety because you cater to different demographics, and we have a very wide array of nationalities. Then you need to build the knowledge on what are the best foods that will work for you. I give the example of many of our canteens. I would be eating in the same canteen, because I eat from the food that we serve in the different locations, I'll be feeling completely energized and no energy dips, no full focus. And someone else would be feeling completely tired after that meal. So it's not only the availability of food, it's the choices we make within that food. I want to introduce you guys to a concept called nutritional biochemistry. And it's the way in which foods interact together. And the way you combine those ingredients are going to, quote unquote, make it or break it. So it's very important to build education as much as it's important to have that availability of foods and resources.
Great. Let's move on to exercise. I know you have some yoga sessions. Have you moved into that space of exercise at work, or any kind of fitness expert coming into your organization and talking about you need to do this and that, or access to gym or any kind of fitness resources?
That's a great observation. After hearing Diego speak, I'm going to definitely connect with him to see if he can be one of our speakers for next year to talk to the staff about that. But you mentioned gym. We're currently in discussions with the gym to act as a group membership for the entire organization. If we can encourage just 20% of our employees to work out regularly, I think that would be a good win. So we're working on that for 2025, hopefully.
Ziad?
So I think motivation to work out is important, but discipline is way more important, because the discipline will keep you consistent and long-term. There's very little benefit in being excited and motivated and working out for 2-3 weeks and then dropping off. So you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So what we do is we try to encourage it. Again, top down, like you were saying. I myself, I'm very vocal and very public about the workouts and the exercise I do. And in doing that, I hope to inspire and show the team that it is possible to mix your life, your family, your friends, your work with some exercise. And in that way, maybe it's with a smaller organization, it's different than a bigger organization. I have had staff come up to me and say, very proudly, because they know they see my posts, they see my runs, saying, I signed up for this 10K, I signed up for this half marathon, what's your time? This is my time. So again, these are people who are motivated and then self-disciplined. So that's kind of how we do it, through more subjective and more top-down, inspiring, keeping the conversation around exercise and sports.
Great. Elias?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Okay, it's about exercise. Have you got any, like I was trying to say, have you brought any fitness expert into your organization who can talk about, why don't you do a bit of walking, going to the gym, something like that?
No, we haven't done that yet, but I think it's a great idea. It's something that I definitely want to take back and look into adding. I think it would add great value to the organization. Like I mentioned, we are in talks with the gym to provide a group membership for the entire 600 employees that we have, where they can access the gym at no charge to them. And hopefully the goal is to inspire more of them to start a workout regimen.
Okay. Moving on to Diego. In the hospitality industry, the working days are longer, the work week is longer, like 6 days a week, and some 7 days a week. How does one maintain a physical activity and just avoid the sedentary lifestyle? These are risks, actually. You go home, you're tired, you want to rest, you're on a Netflix, or you just lie down, you can't even go for a walk. And now the audience are here. If you could tell the audience and suggest some low barrier fitness strategies so they can fit into their hectic routines. Your take.
I'm trying to come up with a quote or something that I've read the other day. It was along the lines of, if you cannot sleep 6 hours, you probably need to sleep 8 hours, right? So at the end of the day, there's certain things that are non-negotiable. And to me, there is 2 moments in the day that are going to basically dictate how you operate, how you feel, and how you show up to the world. Those are the evenings and the mornings. There's something that I bet most of you can relate. I plead guilty for this, is to maybe procrastinate at night, and instead of going to bed, knowing that tomorrow we might feel tired, we yet turn on Netflix and go for another chapter. And this is called revenge bedtime procrastination. It's a sort of that entitlement that give it to ourselves as a mechanism of reward because we've worked hard. So if someone wants to be energetic and operate at their full capacity the next day, we need to have a solid evening routine. The same as babies. We're not different than babies. If you have kids, your kids need a wind-down routine. We do need it too. We are no different. And in the morning, what you're going to be doing for the first 10, 15 minutes, they are going to basically dictate the tone of the day. So I have 2 small frameworks for you. The 3-2-1 evening routine at night, so 3 hours before you have your last meal, 2 hours before you dim the lights, 1 hour before you put a reverse alarm and you forget about electronics, and in the morning, the body, mind, soul routine. So do something for your body, do something for your mind, and do something for your soul. This can be a 5-minute mobility routine. Send a gratitude text to someone you love, and read 5 pages of a book. And those 2 micro habits, they will have exponential effect on how you sleep and how you operate the next day.
Great. Now, yesterday I saw a post from you. It talked about having or doing 2,000 steps before breakfast, 2,000 steps during lunch, and 2,000 steps after dinner. I know one doesn't have to do 10,000 steps. You can start off with 2,000 steps and keep on, increasing on it. I want you to explain what happens when you do this 2,000 before breakfast, 2,000 during lunch, and 2,000 steps after dinner.
Yeah, that was an insightful post from the responses I got. So one of the main challenges for my students in the B2C capacity, so in the coaching that I do for my private students, is the inability to bridge the gap between 3,000 steps and the optimal 8 to 10,000, right? That's normally the average that I observe. So I always advise them to, and we strategize towards breaking down those 8,000 steps in small chunks. And strategically, we incorporate them into small nudges throughout the day. In the morning, the 2,000 steps will help you mostly with momentum. You cannot go wrong if you start your day by winning. Winning on your hydration, winning on your routine, winning on your steps. You are stuck in so many wins that you build such momentum that you're going to have more ease to say no to that piece of cake from Jane's birthday that you're sharing during your coffee break, right? Because you already built so much momentum. The second one is during lunch. During lunch, I am completely against eating at our desks. I think that when we eat, we need to be eating. And that's going to impact how your body feels, how energetic you feel, your inflammation is going to dictate so many things. So why don't you look for a place now that the weather is fantastic and walk there? Walk there, have your lunch, then you come back. You're already stuck in another 2,000 steps. And then after dinner, you're going to do the exact same thing. And this is going to help you with digestion, it's going to help you regulate your blood glucose, it's going to help you to basically digest the food better. And when you realize you're actually going from 2,000 steps, which is absolutely, honestly, if you're doing 2,000 steps, if you can take anything away from today, just improve that, because that's going to affect your metabolism and your health markers more than you think. So go up to 8,000 steps, including these micro habits throughout the day. It's going to make your life so much better. And the moment that you divide it into small bite-sized chunks, it's going to be perfectly accessible. And yeah, it's life-changing, literally, from a health perspective.
Excellent. And I think Ziad and Elias can take this and rest of the audience as the first step towards asking your employees to do those 2,000 steps, morning, afternoon, evening. I do know they are walking around the restaurant, that's there, but what about those people in the office as well? So I want to move into a new thing, kind of a new topic, which is ergonomics. Now, I've been sitting here, and I keep on going. This is sliding. It's not very comfortable, but it looks very sleek. We all sit in our office chairs for hours. How can ergonomics help in the well-being of employees? You know, you have this physical posture and movement that can affect the productivity and well-being of people here.
Yeah, sitting is important. That's why I decided to bring Olivier on board. He's an occupational health expert and one of the best ergonomists in the world. 40% of the absenteeism nowadays at the workplace is due to musculoskeletal disorders, aka back pain, low back pain, etc. That comes from sitting, right? And in order to fix your sitting posture, you need to fix the environment. So you need to have the ability to manipulate your desk and your accessories in order to remove that pain and to sit in a healthy position. But also, you need to understand how to sit, right? And this is something that Olivier has taught us. The posture starts from the feet, 90-degree angle. You need to have a backrest. You need to sit towards the back of the chair. You need to keep your screen 10 degrees below the eyesight. We go so technically into small nuances that you would never believe that they affect you, but just the positioning of the screen, is it against the window? What is that position? If you use multiple screens, what is your dominant eye that you can find out with the triangle exercise to understand where to put it? Those small things affect so much your posture, and you're sitting for 8 hours or 40 hours a week. Let's say 40 hours a week. That's the minimum for a lot of executives. That's what? I'm not very good at math. That's just 160 hours a month times 12. That's crazy. How are you expecting to undo the damage that you do to your body for 8 hours in 5 minutes of mobility or a yoga class on Thursday evenings? We need to be proactive. We came to a point in our life that we cannot be reactive. We need to take the driver's seat. Mm-hmm. Doctors are not going to save us. They are going to help us. It's ultimately our responsibility to take proactive action inside and outside the office walls.
Right. Now, I want to move to CEO burnout and leadership health. Very important topic. We have a lot of leaders here. Leaders are working with high-pressure roles. They are highly stressed. Are you seeing a senior leader burnout that is escalating? And what could be some of the specific strategies that can safeguard their well-being?
I have coached plenty of CEOs and C-suite executives in my private practice, in my private capacity, and it's always been a great experience. There is something about being a leader that you can perfectly translate that into the health side of the equation, right? One exercise that I did with many CEOs is to start to understand our distress tolerance window, right? So let's imagine that we have a window in which we can allocate stress and put all the things that stresses our body, minds, and emotions. Now, the more narrow that window is, the harder time we are going to have when it comes to managing them and managing our relationships at work and at home. So I help them identify what are those things that are going to make that window wider. Meditation in the morning, time with your kids every evening, one trip every quarter with your family, a gentle stretch in the middle of the day, eating foods high in nutrients. What are the things that are going to make that window expand? So the wider that window is, the better you're going to be when it comes to leading yourself and leading others. Because if you cannot lead yourself, you're hardly going to be able to lead others,
Exactly.
right?
That's true, absolutely. Elias, do you want to talk about mental wellness? Anything that's being in the pipeline, or are you doing it?
I think, like I mentioned earlier, well-being is a 360 approach that incorporates mental well-being, emotional well-being, and health and fitness. So we started with these initiatives. Now we're continuously evaluating and adding more programs, because we would like to get to a point where we cover all these aspects. We don't have anything per se focused on mental yet, but this is something that's in the works for next year.
Ziad?
Just to agree with what you guys were saying, it's super important as a leader to manage your own stress. Anyone in managerial or leadership positions feels stress from many different sources, because the onus is on you to not only be a leader as in a business leader, but also a psychological leader, right? It's very important that you have to look after your own well-being so that you can be the person where all the other stakeholders come to you and discharge their problems and complain about their issues. And a lot of the time, this can end up as one-on-one psychology sessions. And then after year, that takes its toll on you as a leader. And you want to be in a position where you can remain empathetic, but you also have to lead by example. You don't want to be the psychological sponge or punching bag, because all of that will then reflect in your own life. And the way I do it is, again, many of the tactics that you were saying is starting the day strong, starting the day with a win. As business leaders, we could implement the best strategy, have enough capital, have enough people, but still not win, right? We can take losses because a lot of business is beyond our control. However, what we can control is our own habits and our own discipline. And it's important to have a daily win that's outside of family, friends, and business. And that daily win is connecting with yourself. Starting the day right is super important, I would say, even more important maybe than ending the day. Starting the day with exercise, whether it's a walk, a run, a stretch, tennis, paddle, gym session, super important. I think that canceling on yourself and giving yourself excuses is very easy, because you can look in the mirror and say, yeah, you deserve it, you can work out later, it's okay if you skip a day, and no one's going to find out. So one tactic that I feel works very well is to, if you are privileged enough to have a personal trainer or a coach, or you can join a group that holds you accountable, or you have a friend and a workout partner that you've committed to. You're way less likely to cancel on your friend or your trainer or your colleague if you've both committed to a 7 a.m. walk or a jog. And starting the day strong like that has so many benefits. You'll sleep earlier, you'll eat better. The dopamine that's released throughout the day will make you feel empowered. And I think that will protect you. It will create a psychological shield and get you ready to absorb anything that comes your way during the day. And that is something that I have learned to do through discipline year after year. And without that daily morning routine, I think it'd be very difficult to continue growing and expanding and taking all the punches as we do so.
Great, thank you. There's one thing I forgot. Ziad and Elias have a 5-day work week. And I was talking to them. They told me that CVs are piling up whenever they add, because in their ad it says 5-day work week. And today, people want to have a good work-life balance, and everybody is applying, isn't it? There's hundreds of CVs coming to you, which is excellent. Now, Diego, I'm not an expert in this and on that, but emotional wellness. Can you explain what it is and how important it is in the workplace?
I think emotional wellness is an often overlooked area. It's my personal opinion, and how I want to define it is different from mental wellness, in the sense that mental wellness aims more at the cognitive side of the equation, whereas emotional is more of relationships with your friends, your family, and even with yourself. And when we want to start a wellness journey, a lot of us, or one of the tactics nutrition-wise, is to clean up junk food or bad foods from your kitchen. I think if we want to get to a healthier version of ourselves, we also have to look at our relationships, our surroundings, and what are those relationships that we also want to clean up from our home, from our life, right? And emotional wellness is important because if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, and I am someone who has, I think we all been through trauma, either that's big T trauma or small t trauma. I think we all have been through hardship and evolved, right? So the relationship and the self-talk and the way that we talk to ourselves is very important, and is going to dictate how we treat and engage with others. So emotional wellness, often overlooked, I think is very important to take into account and work on it to better the relationships at home and at the workplace.
Thank you very much. Now that you've heard from our three speakers, well-being today at this convention is a very unique topic. It is about self, our own self, and of our employees, and how we can bring it to the workplace. And I would like to ask, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask our three speakers. They're also there after the session is over. Any questions?
We got time just for a couple of quick ones, please, guys.
Hi, guys. I guess this question's for Elias and Zia. Yeah. How do you make sure that your wellness initiatives run through your management line all the way down and is followed? What initiatives have you put in place to make sure that either KPIs or things are put for wellness initiatives, so your managers are trying to hit that?
I think with a smaller organization like mine, with around 120 employees, we do not put KPIs. We don't measure any wellness initiatives. It's more subjective. It's more internal questionnaires. It's more about looking at longevity of staff in our organization. And it's more about keeping the topic about health and exercise within the culture, right? And overemphasizing and acknowledging those who have done so. I'll give you an example. One of our cooks came up to me 2 days ago and said, I'm doing the Burj to Burj run. It's a half marathon 7 months ago. And he said, are you still running? I loved all your posts. 7 months ago, I decided to stop smoking and stop drinking, and I've lost 16 kilos already. And so we really acknowledge that and hope. And then I said, okay, so what are you doing? He said, well, I live 9 kilometers away from work, so sometimes I'll just run back home, right? And now, my roommate who's also working with us, I'm trying to get him to join. So it has to come also from within. We can't really force it. So that's kind of how we do it. It's not very formal.
We don't have a mechanism per se for managing those yet, but we're working on enhancing that, because we do need the data. But I've noticed bigger smiles when you walk into the outlets, happier team members. We've also noticed the average spend go up per customer, and I think that's directly linked to our employees being well rested and genuinely happier to be at work. It's one thing to go through the steps of service because you have to, and a totally different result if you're doing it because you're proud of the organization you belong to and you want to work from your heart. And I think over time, as we gather more data, we plan to make this public because we want to inspire other people to do so. It's only been 6 months, that's not enough data, but within the next 24 months, we do need to get a payback on this investment, and I think we will.
And we've probably got time for one more quick question.
It's not a really question, it's more of a confirmation about what Diego and Elias highlighted. The word of ROI, when we think about implementing such strategy, I think Elias is right. We should not look at ROI. The reason we're doing it is it's because it's the right thing to do. Yes, there is so many measurement tools, but let's keep it like the last thing to think about. Let's think about what is right to do rather than ROI. That's a confirmation to what you guys say. Thank you.
Thank you. As we end the session now, I have something. Now that you've been inspired listening to our 3 speakers on stage, I asked our organizers, Mini Jacob and George Mohan, if we could do this. It's a challenge. I want to see next year how many of you and the companies would launch a well-being program, and let's say a year later, come back on stage and ask how many of you have really launched a well-being program, and that's going to be good. And I'm really looking forward to that. And thank you very much for attending the session. It's been almost a full house. Remember, well-being is lifelong. Sales targets and profits stop someday. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ravi, Diego, Elias, and Ziad.